In 1992, at the United Nations Earth Summit, then President Mahmoud Abdul Gayoom of the Maldives said, quote, "I stand before you as a representative of an endangered people. We are told that as a result of global warming and sea level rise, my country, the Maldives, may sometime during the next century disappear from the face of the earth." Now these are people, according to the latest census, there are over 15,000 people in this country whose current country is about to be thrown underwater because of climate change. Now how are we going to stop this crisis? Through a carbon cap and trade system. And I will now propose the result and enforce it through the Rotary's four-way test. Now the result, a cap and trade system on carbon should be enacted in both the US and the international community. Now to the first part of the Rotary's four-way test, which is it the truth? Now here, I have to prove to you that both a carbon cap and trade system would be the most effective way to stop global warming, and that carbon levels are currently high and dangerous. Now, according to different well-known agencies, including the Environmental Defense, a carbon cap and trade system would by far be the most effective way to go about doing this. They said, quote, "We need to set a firm, economy-wide cap on carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases to avert the catastrophic consequences of global warming." Now also, this cap and trade system was created for sulfuric oxide, which created acid rain back in the 1990s. When this occurred, The Economist called this, quote, "the greatest green success story of the past decade." Now this is once again a carbon cap and trade system that has worked effectively in the past, and we need to implement it now to stop carbon levels. Now are carbon levels high and dangerous? They certainly are. According to the National Academy of Sciences, we need to act now, or we will face or we need to reverse the growth of greenhouse gas emissions, or face irreversible consequences. Now, also, the Australian Bureau of Meteorology's observation station in Cape Grim contains Dr. Fraser, who's been there for over 30 years measuring carbon content. He states that, quote, "the trend over recent years suggests the growth rate is accelerating, signifying that fossil fuels are having an impact on greenhouse gas concentrations in a way we haven't seen in the past." Now, carbon levels are most certainly rising, and a carbon cap and trade system is the most effective way to go about doing this. Now, on to is it fair to all concerned, the second part of the four-way test. That's the basis of a cap and trade system completely. The way it works is you get a certain amount of carbon. You can choose to use up 100% of your carbon, it's all said and done, and you keep that carbon. Now you can choose to not use all your carbon, and people who use too much carbon can then buy off of you. This is completely fair because if you don't use that much carbon, then you can make money and you get rewarded for this. If you use too much carbon, then you have to pay a price, making it fair for everyone involved. Now on to the third part of the four-way test. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Now this may seem kind of hard to prove with a simple cap and trade system. However, it would be extremely beneficial to many nations who are currently below the poverty line overall. Nations from Bolivia to Papua New Guinea, whose rainforests are currently being cut down right now, would make over $1.1 trillion in gross income through a carbon cap and trade system. This is over $1 trillion going directly into their economy that could boost their citizens to make everyone as a whole much happier and much more grateful to the nations that established this new system. They would thank us, and this would create a much better friendship from them to us. Now, a friendship would also be established between our nations and these nations, because if we were able to get them to implement these rainforests, then it would be extremely beneficial to the carbon cycle as a whole. According to NASA, for every 3.9 million square miles of new trees planted, we could take 100 to 150 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide out of the air over the next 50 to 100 years. This is almost a third of the carbon dioxide in the air being taken out immediately, and we need to implement this now to help these people in these impoverished nations and to help people all around the world. Now moving on to the fourth part of the four-way test. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? This may be the easiest to argue because earlier I mentioned global warming and how that is affecting every single human being on the planet. Now, I mentioned earlier sulfuric oxide and how that created acid rain. Now here's some statistics talking about how well a cap and trade system worked on that. In 1990, we emitted 8.7 million tons. It's quite a bit of sulfuric oxide. Then that figure dropped in 1994 when a cap was implemented to 7.4, a modest amount. Then, when trading began to complete the cap-and-trade system, the amounts decreased all the way to 4.5 million tons. That was almost cut in half. And if we can do that to carbon in the atmosphere, then we could possibly almost completely stop the entire global warming cycle and save over 15,000 people in the country of the Maldives. Now, we're all interconnected here. According to NASA, once again, rainforests in the Amazon region of South America influence rainfall rates in Mexico, in Texas, and even in the Midwest. These are places all over that are being affected by simple rainforests. If we can implement this now, we can possibly save these rainfall rates. There are people there who need their water, who need to survive with water, because all human beings need water. We need to get rid of the carbon now in the atmosphere, and we need to give these people their water. Now, I'll quickly recap. Once again, is it the truth? Yes, it is the truth, because carbon levels are rising, and a cap-and-trade system would be the most effective way to do this. Is it fair to all concerned? That is the basis of a cap-and-trade system, and it would be fair to every single person and company involved. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Yes, because we'll have impoverished nations who will be thanking us for helping out their economy, and we will be benefiting from the carbon taken out of the air, and will it be beneficial to all? Yes, it most certainly would, because it could help to reverse the consequences of global warming and save thousands of lives around the globe. I thank you.